Look back at the ancient world, and you'll see a familiar pattern. Massive empires like Assyria, Babylon, and Rome expand across the map, hold power for a few centuries, and then inevitably collapse, leaving behind ruins and fragments of a forgotten culture. But sitting on the Iranian plateau is an exception to that rule. The nation we now call Iran has maintained a continuous, distinct cultural identity for over 5,000 years. The Iranian plateau sits right at the crossroads of the world. It was a primary target for conquest, and for centuries it was repeatedly overrun by some of the most devastating armies in human history. Iran survived by letting the invaders in and then slowly rewriting the cultural identity of the people who just conquered them. To understand why modern Iran navigates the world the way it does today, you have to look at this 5,000-year cycle of the conquered conqueror. The baseline for this cultural trap was set in the 6th century BC. Cyrus the Great united local tribes to form the Achaemenid Empire, building an administration that spanned 5.5 million square kilometers. His government relied on intense centralized organization mixed with broad local tolerance. When Cyrus captured Babylon, he allowed exiled populations, including the Jews, to return home and rebuild their temples. These policies were recorded on clay cylinders, creating a reputation for restoring order rather than just destroying it. That administration stood at the center of the known world for 2 centuries, until a young Macedonian named Alexander the Great marched in. In just 8 years, his armies burned the imperial capital of Persepolis to the ground. After Alexander died, his generals carved up the territory. The Seleucid Empire took over the plateau, founding new cities and spreading the Greek language from the Mediterranean all the way to Central Asia. Iranian traditions quietly persisted under the surface of Greek rule. Over the next few centuries, local leaders leveraged those deep cultural roots to push the Greeks out, eventually building the highly centralized Safavid Empire to rival Rome. This was the first confirmation of the pattern. Military victory over the Iranian plateau did not equal cultural erasure. The next massive test arrived in the 7th century. Arab armies swept out of the peninsula, defeated the Sassanid military, and brought a new religion to the region, Islam. Iran was absorbed into the expanding Islamic world, but again, the local culture adapted. The population used the Arabic script specifically to write and revive the Persian language. Soon, Iranian scholars, poets, and scientists were the intellectual drivers of the Islamic Golden Age. In the 11th and 13th centuries, a series of nomadic cavalry invasions threatened to dismantle this cultural engine. First the Seljuk Turks, and then the devastating campaigns of the Mongols, leveled cities and caused massive loss of life. To govern the complex societies they had just conquered, these invaders needed the local Persian bureaucrats. Over time, the new rulers began speaking the Persian language and sponsoring Persian art. In 1295, the Mongol ruler Ghazan Khan officially converted and declared Islam the religion of the state. Across 2 millennia, the Iranian cultural engine proved robust enough that it digested its greatest threats, turning its invaders into Iranians. In 1501, the Safavid Empire fused ancient Persian heritage with Twelver Shia Islam, creating a distinct identity that walled the nation off from its neighbors. They built magnificent capitals like Isfahan to project this new cultural power. That identity held until the Industrial Age, when European empires fully realized the value of the region's resources. The British pushed up from the south, and the Russians pushed down from the north, squeezing Iran for colonial influence and oil. When Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh tried to nationalize Iran's oil industry in the early 1950s, the West reacted. In 1953, the CIA and British intelligence orchestrated a coup to remove him from power. In his place, they restored the authority of the Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Propped up by American military aid, he ruled with absolute power and a feared secret police. In 1971, while the poor suffered, the Shah spent enormous sums to host a spectacular celebration of the Persian monarchy at the ruins of Persepolis. To the millions of Iranians struggling in poverty, the Shah represented a proxy for foreign power, a modern version of an invader that needed to be expelled. That resentment finally boiled over in 1978. Millions of Iranians took to the streets in a nationwide uprising, forcing the Shah to flee and collapsing the monarchy. Under the leadership of Ayatollah Khomeini, the new Islamic Republic adopted a foreign policy doctrine of neither East nor West, rejecting alignment with both the United States and the Soviet Union. This sovereign identity was immediately tested in blood. In 1980, Saddam Hussein invaded, triggering a brutal 8-year war that cost hundreds of thousands of lives to defend the nation's borders. Under Ali Khamenei, Iran has maintained a defensive and often confrontational posture toward Western influence, navigating periodic diplomatic crises and a long-standing opposition to foreign interference in the region. Regimes will change and borders will shift, but Iran's history proves its superpower is its cultural identity, an adaptive force that outlasts anyone who tries to control it.